So while Jaws 2 wasn't great, it did have a few redeeming qualities that made it watchable. So can I say the same for Jaws 3D? Do I really need to answer that? If the title didn't give it away, this movie is meant to capitalize on the 3D fad that resurfaced around the early 80s. It's an interesting concept, but it's really an expensive gimmick that not everyone can tolerate. And if we're really being honest, it's just an excuse for theaters to charge extra on tickets. Plus, a lot of the 3D visuals of this movie look like the ugliest pieces of digitized effects ever. Seriously, look at the quality of the objects being displayed here. That's not distracting or anything. And these sort of effects should have been in the wheelhouse for Joe Elves, the director for Jaws 3D, who also served as production designer for the first two films. To make matters worse, this movie became a victim of executive meddling, creative disagreements, and even more production issues that caused two producers for the previous two films to leave the project midway. There's more stuff to mention regarding writers like Richard Matheson, but let's save that for when we actually get to certain parts of the movie. Because let me tell you, if you thought that the money shark hadn't been milked for all it's worth, here comes Universal to try and suck up some more. So without further ado, this is Jaws 3D. So the film opens with it in the viewpoint of our shark for the movie. It just creeps along the seafloor until it finds a large fish and... Fish head in 3D! All I can say is that the 3D objects greatly contrast in color when shown over a background image, and they often slow things down. It's unnecessary filler for a film that's only an hour and a half long. In any case, we resurface to watch some skiers practicing for the reopening of SeaWorld in Orlando, Florida. All we know is that a large shark is about to get a nibble on some... oh, never mind. Maybe he can have takeout later. So apparently, SeaWorld was closed for a while so it could install some underwater tunnel system with various facilities. And behind that idea was a man named Calvert Bouchard, played by Louis Gossett Jr. He could have been the Martin Brody for this movie, but since he's more like a business manager, he's not the main focus. No, that honor returns to... Mike Brody, now played by Dennis Quaid. And if you're wondering why he is here, well, essentially, Universal forced writer Richard Matheson to include Mike and Sean Brody within the movie's plot, even if there's no reason to. I guess the studio wanted to add a Brody character given that Roy Scheider moved on to do Blue Thunder. Man, Roy, you certainly dodged a bullet by not appearing in this film. I guess Mike decided to become a mechanic for a marine park. I find that hard to believe given his previous encounters with sharks in the other films, but points for courage, I guess. On top of his work, he's also dating a marine biologist named Kay Morgan, played by Bess Armstrong. It seems like she's there to add a little more characterization for what is an otherwise forgettable cast. Bouchard also has a close friend named Philip Fitzroyce, and considering that it's implied Bouchard might be gay, I wouldn't be surprised if these two are closer than they appear.
I am, of course, able to combine business with pleasure, which they tell me is the secret to a long and happy life. Hey! Hey! How you doing? My brother the cowboy.
Now I do have to question the time frame of this movie from the previous one. Sean Brody was just a little kid while his older brother was a teenager. But here, they're both grown adults with no discernible age difference. Anyway, enough conversing with the fodder. Time to watch someone die already. Earlier, Mike asked one of his colleagues to fix a gate that the shark snuck through. And this mechanic, in his infinite wisdom, says yes, even though it'll be hard for him to do the work in low visibility come nighttime. He goes into what he assumes to be safe waters, then he dies. Arms in 3D! So now we head to a bar where Mike and crew are at, and it's not very exciting. It's just people getting drunk, slapping each other around, with the only noteworthy thing being Sean landing a date with Kelly, played by Leah Thompson. Standard horror movie stuff with the introduction of characters, but really we're just waiting for the shark to kill people, instead of embracing the fear and paranoia from being out on the water. On the topic of deaths, we do have a couple of thieves looking to steal some quality coral, but when they go in, they both die. Off screen. And apparently, the shark is smart enough to dispose of any evidence. Sure, why not? Blah blah blah, you messed up my opportunity to get laid last night. Anyway, after Philip tries getting on base with Kay, we only now learn that the mechanic guy from earlier hasn't returned home at all. So to look for him, our heroes take a submarine down into the lagoon.
Venture 1, we're at 25 feet headed for the Spanish galleon.
I can see you now. Hi, Mike.
Subs in 3D! Anyway, they noticed the SeaWorld dolphins panicking this whole time, and have been doing so for the past 2 days. And as the sub explores a sunken ship, the thing we've been waiting for finally happens. Okay, false alarm. This shark is way too small to be it, but the dolphins rescue the 2 humans before it can cause any harm. Our heroes then resurface and tell Bouchard of what they found. Philip responds with,
If we kill this beastie on camera, I can guarantee you media coverage.
SeaWorld, you've already generated negative press over your share of animal cruelty charges. You now want to add live animal death to that list? But Kay objects, saying they should capture the shark so that the park can exhibit it later. She sounds overly confident.
Oh, white sharks are killers. I know them, for God's
Right.
sakes. My father, my brother, myself. They're murderers.
Don't you realize that we could be the first people on the planet to have a great white alive? Nightly bulletins on the progress of the killer shark. Pictures of us nursing it back to health and lowering it into a holding tank. Now that's world news.
In the end, Bouchard gives his blessing to either killing or capturing that shark. Mike is concerned for his girlfriend's safety, but she sounds like she can handle herself.
There's not going to be any explosives underwater. There's acrylic down there. It's a very fragile environment. There's no bombs. No way.
Look, Brody, I do understand, but this is
No,
insurance.
see, I don't think you understood me here, Fitzroy. Now, I spent 2 years building this park, and I'm not going to see some visiting fireman with a homemade bomb blow it up just because he wants to kill a fish.
Oh, don't worry, Jack. After all, it's only a little fish.
Okay, I kinda like Philip as the pompous, stuffy British stereotype. He almost channels Quint's personality given how they both want recognition. Almost. Anyway, the tension ratchets up again as both characters enter the water. The shark could be anywhere, but eventually it decides to attack. Philip saves Kay while the shark makes a break for it. Mike only gets 1 shot. Aw, you almost had a good 3D shot there. Way too slow on the launch. Well, now that they caught the shark, they need to nurse it back to health. It seems rather unresponsive, even when Mike tries to have a little fun while helping. Never mind, but thankfully the shark is okay. Now SeaWorld will be made even better with its grand reopening. Aren't the heroes supposed to find the body of the missing mechanic? Who cares? Time to cash in! I do like some of the interior shots for the underwater tunnels. If the beach stuff from the first 2 movies made me want to go to an actual beach, these shots make me want to visit a marine park someday. Preferably one that isn't SeaWorld, but you get the idea.
You want to take the money and run to Venezuela with old Mikey, huh? I think they're going to miss you, too.
You know, you and I are going to have a serious conversation sometime. About what's really going on. You and me.
The first snag hits when Bouchard decides to go ahead with moving the shark into public viewing early, even though it is still recovering. Unsurprisingly, it dies, but that's alright. Philip can still get in a victory photo.
Go ahead. Photograph it.
the body we were looking for. Yeah, get it all close. Get in on that fear. The ensuing autopsy then shows that the shark responsible for this kill was not the one they caught. Their captured shark was only a baby. And so, in a series of shots and music buildup that comes close to being decent, we finally get to see the real final boss of this movie. Alright, now, where do we even begin? First off, this shark is actually a female. A brucette, as some fans called her. And she might be the same shark from the previous film, as Universal wanted it at some point, even though it got scarred at one point and then electrocuted in the finale. Anyway, with an unexpected bout of competence, Bouchard actually gets the sense to seal the park and evacuate all the visitors. It won't be easy with how everyone is spaced out, and I think this course of action might cause more problems if people get injured during the escape. But hey, Larry has set the bar quite low for what to do in a time like this, so you take the good when it comes to you. And does anyone actually die during these next few minutes? Surprisingly, no. I mean, yeah, there were a few opportunities, and one instance where Kelly almost gets eaten. But during all this chaos, not one person bites the dust. Brucette does her damnedest in all of her digital ugliness, and she manages to start a leak in the underwater tunnels while people are trapped there. Now our heroes need to seal up the tunnels on top of subduing that dangerous shark.
Now, late this afternoon, as a result of a minor disturbance, there was a pressure failure in one of the underwater tunnels that are a major attraction here at the park. Break,
Heard about a
boys.
large shark. How about some names?
I'll let you know as I find out more.
Very large shark. Give us some glass, please.
That's all. There is no more.
So, they're not gonna confirm the shark attack? No wonder people don't like your park anymore. You keep hiding secrets. Philip wants to lure the shark into a filtration pipe so they can kill it while Mike repairs the tunnels. Even now, our token Brit still wants that film money. But can he survive the last 20 minutes of the movie to enjoy it? Well, so far the plan is working, but oops, he gets caught up in the action. Now he goes one-on-one with the shark. I know it must be done. K later decides to join Mike to serve as a pair of extra eyes. He'll need it since the shark escapes after Bouchard tries shutting down a pump to suffocate it. The two are forced to flee back into the control room while the dolphins distract the shark a bit. One is seemingly killed, though I can't confirm it. But either way, they succeeded in sealing the tunnels. Now the visitors can get out safely. But as for our heroes, they get a really bad 3D effect moment in the movie. Brucette in 3D! Oh no, not that guy. Who are you again?
Why don't we blow it up?
Listen, nephew.
Could have prioritized his safety. Also, did he just yell out, "Ow"? You're being mauled by an overgrown shark! And I guess Brucette just drops him after, since she wants these two now. That, or it's because Philip's corpse is stuck in her throat and, oh look, a grenade! He may not get to use it in life, but in death, it'll be our heroes' ticket to life. Jaws in 3D! Okay, but seriously, that was the worst 3D moment in the movie. And I don't care how it might have looked in theaters. And with that, Mike and Kay surface and finally bring the sham of a movie to an end. And if you're wondering about the fate of that one dolphin... And sure, one last bad effect right at the end. Man, this movie's a mess! Once again, Universal's insistence on exploiting the franchise has really made this a hard watch. No one is unlikable, sure, but no one is compelling either. They are pale shadows to Martin Brody and gang, and the inclusion of his children in this movie makes no sense beyond name recognition. The effects in this movie were especially bad this time around. While they do still have plenty of practical shots, and some uses of mechanical sharks for certain scenes, the digital effects, 3D or otherwise, are glaringly bad even by 1983 standards. But do you know the worst part? Despite most critics panning the final product left, right, and center, Jaws 3D grossed around $88 million on an $18 million budget. Those last figures must have convinced Universal to make another Jaws sequel, despite many other signs warning to stop. I hope you're beginning to see a pattern here. Each successful Jaws sequel has the power to make its predecessor look good and reasonable by comparison. So knowing this, get ready to go up a creek without a paddle the next time we meet.